many people chasing this understanding in terms of what will be the greater AI human collaboration. You brought the example of your husband, which is terrific, because we know how doctors are reluctant. Okay, they don't like IT people. I don't want to generalize, but I have experience around me. Of course, people very skeptical and reluctant in many ways, in many industries. All right, and the fact that adoption went so wide and so quick, that tells us volume. All right, what about this collaborative approach that we all gonna be thinking about?
So one thing that we learned out of ChatGPT release, even if you go to OpenAI, they say like because they released earlier to the public, they were able to understand the risks. They could able to understand the issues or the safety problems. So and they say like the way to go forward, like you rightly said, is collaboration with other organizations, with industry experts, with university research, so that they can try to collaboratively come up with, okay, how do we really use it ethically, safely, and minimize the risk. So I think they did try to form a workshop, and they have produced a report in their website if you go and see. But the other thing also is like, after ChatGPT became very much well known, organizations have publicly aired their concerns about the misuse and especially with regards to the intellectual property rights. And a lot of companies are putting a brake on in order to have the right controls and security in place so that their own IP doesn't leak into those public models. And I think that's appropriate because if you look into one of the research done, they said around half of human resource leaders are issuing ChatGPT guidelines for staff how and when they can use ChatGPT. And in May, Apple actually restricted the use of ChatGPT for some employees to prevent the exposure of confidential information. And the other thing is also they now like thinking about how do we develop ourselves, our own AI platform in house, and with competition such as ChatGPT. So they've combined with other organizations to collaboratively innovate. While the other, there's also research by Gartner. Gartner is a big research firm, and they said 3% of companies have banned ChatGPT outright. Uh, that's this month actually, we had Commonwealth Bank of Australia. They restricted the use of ChatGPT, and they directed the technical staff to use similar tools called as ComBank, which is a Gen AI studio. And again, it was developed in partnership, again, collaboration with other Silicon Valley tech company. So this shows how organizations have positioned themselves in order to address the safety, security, or IP issues through collaboration. And it's not like, you can now see like it's not a straightforward way to embrace AI.
Continue, of course, these discussions because something becomes clear as we go along. But again, right, lots of risks, lots of opportunities out there. So what do you think will be the potential way to address those? You kind of started talking about it, meaning that protecting your intellectual property, right? Making sure the tools you're using and implementing in the organizations, right, do adhere to your own ethics and your own policies. That's for sure, right? This is what responsible leadership is all about, right? How do you see leaders reacting to all this wealth of information, a wealth of opportunities, but at the same time, I can easily believe it's very overwhelming. It's not enough, knowledge body even to train leadership right now, right? We're all trying to educate ourselves, right? And yet, what do you think, the responsible leaders should do?
Yeah. So the thing, if you look into, we have so much of advancement in AI, but unfortunately, the regulation or the policy is not really catching up the speed of AI evolution, or how it's trying to penetrate. So there is a rush to use generative AI, and generative AI is a powerful technology. It has the potential to help us to be more efficient, more effective, and really transform our customer experience. So organizations need to understand that AI transformation is complex, it's expensive, and it's risky before they actually embark into AI. So when they look into all these success stories, like I do a lot of teaching for the MBA students in AI, and that time, like, they think, okay, we have got OpenAI succeeding, Microsoft succeeding. All they get to know is about the nice stories, the success stories of how organizations have succeeded, but they don't really understand, like, the failures. So what are the failures? So what works for a large organization or for some other organization which has successfully implemented may not be the same for a small or a medium sized organization. Or what has worked for a retail, for example, may not produce the same result for your particular organization, because each and every business is different. We all have our own processes, we all have our own data points or data access. So this there's and everybody's stage in AI adoption or maturity is not the same. So everybody is different. So we can't really chase the trend without ensuring that your organization is AI ready. For instance, like when I told about failures. So if you look into Gartner research, it says over 70% of AI projects fail. And if you go closer into like why exactly the projects fail, so it's not just because of the technology or the data, but also due to organizational problems, such as, like, there is lack of alignment with business goals, and people think short term. Okay, they have implemented, or my competitor has implemented, chatbot for customer experience services. Let's do that. So they are just very short term. They're not really thinking of the long term. Okay, fine, we want to implement chatbot, but what exactly, what's the value we are going to derive out of it, and what are we going to automate first? So what do we start, where do we start? So you can't really start directly. When somebody is presenting about their business success story, they would have been in this field for a longer time, experimenting and trying to evaluate to reach to the stage where they are right now. So looking at that success story, we can't really go and say, okay, we are going to develop a personalized chatbot. To get to the personalized chatbot, it takes time. So have a realistic expectation. Think about what exactly the problem you're trying to solve. What are the resources? So you have got resources and capabilities. So those are the things that actually shows that organizations fail. So they don't have the realistic expectations. They don't have the resources and skills or capabilities that's needed in terms of data technology, as well as people and processes in place. So we need a shift in the mindset, and that's basically that we need to do.